that is our camp for this week. We're doing an online camp, and it's the first year that we've done this, and we're so excited for you guys to be with us. However many of you that are, we are just pumped to do this with you online. And so my question is today, are you listening? Are you ready for an adventure this week where we're going to look at this guy called Joshua and explore what it means to be a frontliner for God, as Joshua was. We're going to explore different parts of his character. We're going to do games this week. We're going to do songs. We're going to do stuff together and just spend some time with you guys. So will you join us this year, 2020, in this season of craziness, in this season of Corona, and do a Frontliners camp with us? We'd love for you to join us. And frontliners are those who step out. They're those who see a need and try to fix it. They're those who are there for other people. They're those who choose to step out to help others. They're there for God. And that's what we want to explore this week. Do you ever remember a time in your life when you felt that you couldn't take another step forward? Where you felt you couldn't take another action, another breath, maybe because you were gripped by this thing called fear. Maybe for you it was going swimming for the first time and you just froze up as soon as you get in the water and you had to cry out for help, for someone to come and save you from the situation you were in. Or maybe it was fear of some bug or some animal creeping into your bed or into your room, a snake, a spider, or whatever it might be, and when you saw that, you froze up. You know, or maybe it's something else. Maybe it's some words that someone said to you in school, in some event or party, or some memory that you have where people said something against you, and it was awful, and it gripped you with this fear and this pain. And you may have thoughts even in your life right now of something hard just like this. Maybe it's in the past, maybe it's in the present, or maybe it's things in the future that just scare you and get you in this place that you're stuck in. And maybe you don't have the courage right now to step forward. Maybe that's exactly what you need, this dose of courage to step forward, to step out, to take the next step on your journey with God and for Him. Or maybe it's a first step with God and for Him. We'd love to explore a little bit of what that looks like this week. Now, I absolutely love superheroes, okay? I love Marvel, I love DC, I love anything to do with superheroes. I've read comics, I love the characters and the development of them. And there's this scene in Avengers, you probably watched this incredibly long movie of about 3 hours and a couple minutes, where some of the superheroes come together to fight Thanos, okay? And so these guys, we have Iron Man, okay, and we have Thor, and we have Captain America in one scene. I hope you can see them right there. There's these guys right here, and they come and they try to defeat this evil guy, this enemy who's trying to destroy the world, and they're trying to stop him. Okay, and there's this scene near the end of the movie for Avengers Endgame where Thor is quickly pinned down by Thanos, and just before that, Iron Man has just been swept out of the scene, so we might as well chuck him away. So who's left in the scene? We have Thanos, this big enemy, which I don't have the Lego of. We have Thor, and we have Captain America, who is nowhere to be seen at this point. And Thor is literally pinned down by Thanos, okay? He's pinned down on a rock in this crazy landscape with fire going all around and all this stuff. And he needs Captain America, but Captain America is nowhere to be seen. Then at the last moment, as Thor is about to be hurt really bad or maybe even die, Captain America appears out of nowhere and is able to summon Thor's hammer to try and defeat Thanos. He appears out of nowhere. It's a pretty epic moment where Thor shouts, "I knew it!" As he was kicked out of the way by Thanos, who was now trying to deal with this guy, Captain America. How was Thor feeling in that moment before Captain America arrived? As everything was caving in around him, as seemingly there was no way out, I'm sure there was this fear, this terror. My life is about to be ended and I have nothing left. But then Captain America arrives and saves him from his situation. And so Thor could take courage because he knew someone was there for him. But he only knew that at the last moment. Before that, it was all on him, and he was alone on the battlefield against a crazy, huge foe who looked like he was going to defeat him. And when we think about this scene from Avengers that I'm sharing, about a guy who gets courage at the last moment because he knew someone was there for him, we can think about what this means for us too in life. What does it look like to be a frontliner when the enemy or the situation is so big in our lives and we don't have what? The courage. How can we ever step forward? Joshua can really help us here, I think, when we start this week looking at what it means to be a frontliner for God. And we read in Joshua's book the testimony, the history of his life in chapter 1, verse 5 to 6, a part of this. And we read of this guy Joshua taking over, leading this people, the Israelites, after a guy called Moses had just passed away. Someone needed to step up, someone needed to step forward. And this crazy task was not small, it was a massive task. It was a task of leading God's people to where he wanted them to go and to do what he wanted them to do. But in this story that Joshua, this real guy, we see these words in verse 5 and 6 of chapter 1. Just as I was with Moses, so I'll be with you. I will not leave you or forsake you. Be strong and courageous. Can you imagine receiving those words? I want you for a second to try and imagine the biggest, the scariest, the hardest situation in your life that you are trying to overcome, to move past, to step forward from. Imagine that, take hold of that, and in the face of this situation, you have a God who says, I will be with you. I won't leave you. Be strong, be courageous. The God of the universe who created everything in it, including me and you, says, in spite of how big this is, in spite of how hard this is, I am with you. Take courage. A little bit later in Joshua's story, we see God again saying in verse 9 of chapter 1, Hey Joshua, have I not said to you, be strong, be courageous. Do not be frightened, don't be dismayed. For what? For the Lord your God is with you. So think to your life right now, in those areas you are frightened, where you don't have the strength, where you don't have the courage, where it's too big or so hard for us. And today, you and I can take comfort because the God who created you and me is with us. He is here with us today. And we can say, God, I'm in your hands. I want to be a frontliner for you, to change the world because you are with me, God. Joshua is a frontliner who knows what it means to be courageous because he knows who is with him. And so he can take courage and he can take the next step. Will you and I join Joshua, take courage in his way, in this way, in God's way, as our first step this week into becoming a frontliner for God? This is day one, and tomorrow we're going to go into more of what this means to be a frontliner for God.